Look at Germany. You know, everybody's going one way. A few people take over. Everybody goes towards evil. Look at Russia. Everybody's going one way. A few people take over. All of a sudden, everybody's going the other way. You can't go along with it. If the world says wrong is right and right is wrong, good is bad and bad is good, and evil is good and good is evil, you cannot go along. You got to stand. Even if it costs you. Look at what happened just in these last few weeks with this guy. We mentioned it, but here's a guy who is a Christian who owns this chain, and he just said, I'm still boggled by it. He said, I believe in marriage as the Bible defines it, basically what he said. That's it. He didn't go much farther than that. And the world and the Hollywood and the culture crucify him. I mean, it's gotten so extreme that just by saying that now, it was that. So it's hate speech. Hate speech. To say I believe that marriage should be a man and a woman. But that's where it's going. That's where it's going. And you know what happened is, all across America, that chain was flooded with people giving their support. But you know the media did not really dwell on that. But a few days later, when those who protested, this kissing thing, whatever, they covered it even though there was very few people. Much of the world's entertainments represents the mind of the world. If you give your thoughts to the mind of the world, if you give your thoughts to television all the time, you're giving your mind to the mind of Hollywood. It means that your mind is getting plugged in like a horse, is getting ruled and directed by their mind. You cannot have the world's thought life. You know, you cannot let the world direct your thought life. It says, be not conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind is important. Where your mind goes, you go. And so what you watch, you become. What you listen to, you become. What you look at in print guides you. You're joining your eyes or your ears or your mind to the counsel of those people. It's amazing. I mean, how we've had politicians who clearly said just a few years ago on this issue, and it's a key point issue in the culture, you know it. A politician had just a few years back said marriage is between a man and a woman. And then all of a sudden, they changed. You know what? That was wrong. Marriage is not between a man and a woman. So what happened? Was there a new discovery? Was there a revelation from God? Was there a new commandment from Sinai? What happened? Because nothing happened except going along with the spirit of the times. A former Democratic president who signed the Defense of Marriage Act, that's a sudden revelation, it was wrong. The same with the rest, much of Congress that did that. Change weight. There's a principle in the scriptures. It says that a changed weight is corrupt. And what it's saying is, back then, when you wanted to buy something, you had weights. The store guy had weights. So you want a pound of wheat, you got the pound, you got a disc or something that represents it's the weight. You put it on the scale, and then you pour your wheat on the other scale. And then when it matches, you've got it. You've got a pound of wheat. But if they're corrupt, they change the weights. So they tell you this is a pound, but really it's a half pound. So you do it, and it's already too much. You have a half pound. It says when you change weights, it's a sign of corruption. Well, when a society changes, another word for weights is standards. When you change your standards, it is a sign of corruption. When everything has always been right is now wrong, and everything that has been wrong is right, there's a corruption taking place. So it says, blessed is the man or woman who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, and does not, in other words, it doesn't matter what the world is doing, I'm going to stand against it even if it costs me. And it will cost you in the end times. It will cost you. It may not have cost you years ago, but it will cost you. But that's the test of real righteousness. Those who pay the price of that cost, they are blessed in the kingdom of God. They are the saints of God. Because when you look at the people in the Bible who are the real great people, every one of them in some way paid a price. But that price was their very greatness of their life. It says, we walk not in the counsel of the wicked. It says, blessed is the man who doesn't walk and does not sit in the seat of the mockers. End time culture is a culture of mocking. If you notice, mocking things they would never mock before. A culture that takes virtually nothing seriously and nothing as sacred except what shouldn't be sacred, it treats as sacred. Someone is mocking the value. What Billy Graham just wrote a few weeks ago. He said, the culture will not offend anybody except for God and those who follow God. You can't just say it's entertainment when it's mocking your God or when it's mocking everything that you believe in. If you loved your spouse and someone's mocking your spouse, you don't go along with it. You don't receive it, and you don't say nothing about it. You stand up for your beloved. And so if someone's mocking God, you don't go along with it, you don't say nothing, and you don't agree with it. You stand up for God and his ways. Who does not sit in the seat of mockers, who does not rest. We're not comfortable with it. Beware of getting comfortable. Things that used to shock us and no longer shock us, beware of that. Because you become jaded just by exposure to evil. It applies even to non-believers, because Western culture was based in many ways on Judeo-Christian values up until recently. If somebody from the 1950s turned on the television set, imagine, and for some reason they got a future transmission from now. Imagine somebody in the days of I Love Lucy turns on the television and then sees what's on television now. They would be beyond shocked. It would to them look apocalyptic. What we see as normal, or at least what's there, we normally know it's there, they would see as the apocalypse. And that's even if an atheist was doing it back then, not a Christian. They would be more shocked than we are as Christians now. Someone back then seeing one of their television characters sleeping with another one. That would be so jarring to them. Or in a lesbian relationship, that would be so jarring. You can't even picture it, and nor you should. But they would be shocked by things that we just take as, okay, that's what it is. But beware of getting jaded. The story is told of the frog